quick disclaimer. While we may have our own political views, we are trying our best to be as least biased as we possibly can. Every source we use in this video is legitimate and will be linked in the description for any of you that want to take a look at those. And now that we got that out of the way... Oh, that's better. Okay, so what we are going to talk about today is how the corrupt media has lied to you about the siege of the Capitol. So, last I checked, on NPR reported the siege of the Capitol as an, quote, I'm quoting here, armed insurrection. Now, Chris and I took a look at what the dictionary definition of an armed insurrection is. And right here it says, an organized movement aimed at the overthrow of a constituted government through use of subversion and armed conflict. So, what do you think about this? This was nothing even close to what we saw at the Capitol.
Absolutely not.
And it's not like the government is stored in a single building.
Right, exactly.
Like if you burned the Capitol to the ground, the government's still going to exist.
Perfectly fine.
And also the fact that only 6 weapons have turned up, at least when we obtained this information, it's just not supported by what NPR is reporting.
I mean, yeah, there's just no way that this insurrection it was going to overthrow the government at all just because of one building. I mean, I think that's a pretty ridiculous statement. That's the first ridiculous statement being made by the media so far.
So what we're going to take a look at here is some statistics on the actual siege of the Capitol and compare it to some frightening statistics about something you all may be aware of, the burning and looting by Antifa and Black Lives Matter. How do they stack up against each other? See, you have some things to read off about Black Lives Matter versus what has happened at the Capitol very recently.
I do. I actually have quite a few here. We got, well, first of all, this is basically what our whole podcast is about, their outrage being manufactured by the fake news media. But we got here is BLM riots. They lasted 7 months versus the Capitol riot, which has lasted for a few hours. The Black Lives Matter riots were condemned by Republicans, but no Democrats, not even the President-elect Sleepy Joe. He didn't have nothing to say about it, even to this day. But for the riot on the Capitol, on both sides.
It was an atrocity, an absolute atrocity.
Right, exactly.
This was an embarrassment to the nation.
Yep, for sure. We got more on for the Black Lives Matter. It was encouraged by the media and politicians and
played way down. I have a screenshot here. I may put it up on the screen. A screenshot of CNN. Fiery but mostly peaceful protests after police shooting. Those don't go together. Those are antonyms.
That was actually brought up on this exact when we're talking about. It was brought by President Trump at one point, which we may find the clip of that.
Exactly.
As well.
And I don't understand, how can something be fiery and peaceful? There was no fires at the Capitol riot. I mean, honestly what I think happened is, it was a mostly peaceful protest. If you listen to what Trump said when everybody says that he's inciting violence, he said we're going to peacefully and patriotically march to the Capitol and support our great congressmen and women.
Right.
And then what happened, a few dozen people got in and kind of soiled the image of that whole protest, is kind of what I feel happened.
Exactly.
The amount of damage done during these 7 months of looting and everything by Black Lives Matter and Antifa is just way more devastating than anything that could have happened at the Capitol.
Right.
I mean, this is affecting local businesses. And, it's hurting a lot more people than it did the Capitol. All they did is an attack against one building, but these Black Lives Matter protests destroyed lots of businesses, ruined a lot of lives, and ended a lot more lives.
I mean, yeah, and this riot was really, a protest because these guys were literally certifying an election that was stolen away. I mean, it's clear that this was a fraudulent election. I believe everyone knows that. Deep down inside, even the left, they just don't admit it.
We said we weren't going to be biased. We don't know for sure. We see that there is possible evidence. Is it enough evidence to overturn an election? We don't know.
No, you're right.
But we have our beliefs, like we said.
Yeah, you're right.
You don't have to agree with us. What our goal is to enlighten people about the different spins that different news companies put on the same stories. The amount of differentiation between biased right news outlets and biased left news outlets, they're two different stories, if you really look at them. So what we want to do is figure out really what is the actual truth, what actually happened.
Right. I still got a few more here on the versus the riots of BLM and on the Capitol. We got police force was used on. Well, we got police force used on both sides. I don't know. People, I hear people like, yeah, no, yeah, understandable. Of course, people are saying on the Capitol riot, like, oh, there's not enough force used. I don't know. We got for the BLM, the BLM riots, 23 plus people were shot dead, and only one in the Capitol was dead. You know, we saw, most of us, I'm sure, saw that video.
And also the police officers or they claim that I think 4 people died at the siege of the Capitol, but this is America, so naturally 3 of them were medical emergencies. Yeah. Fat America.
For BLM riots, we have 700 officers that were injured, and for the Capitol riot, at least what I got here is 14 officers injured. These stats can be changed by this point, but for what we have, this is the stats we have. BLM riots, they have 150 plus federal buildings destroyed. This Capitol riot was just one destroyed.
Damage.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, yeah, damage, wouldn't go with destroyed. And like we already said before, 100 to small businesses are destroyed. And for the Capitol riot, no small businesses at all, so, and...
Not to mention the uproar of, if you compare the uproar between these two things, the media totally, I mean, they thought this was a good thing, and any violence, they played it down immediately. But because this is now a protest from people on the other side of the political spectrum, they way overblew it, in my opinion.
Yeah, we got people like...
You know, you have this violent armed insurrection. You had a mostly peaceful protest. Of course, when you have thousands of people, you're going to have a few crazies in there that are going to spoil it for everybody. I think that's just what is going to happen. And I think that's exactly what happened also with Black Lives Matter and not so much Antifa. Antifa, they're just fascists, let's face it. But Black Lives Matter, yes, they are supporting a good cause, but it's the execution of their point of what they're doing which we disagree with. I think anybody can agree that yes, Black lives do matter.
I mean, yeah, of course they do. I'm not going to say that they don't.
Exactly.
The way that they were protesting, you know.
Exactly.
But, I mean, and that was pretty much it. The final thing was there was no outrage from the BLM riots. It was encouragement, as a matter of fact. And for the Capitol riot, nationwide outrage, you had people who were okay with the riots in the summer for Black Lives Matter, and all of a sudden there's no good. I mean, we got, what did Nancy Pelosi say? Like, direct quote.
Oh, I have the quote. I have the quote here. Let me just see.
From the Black Lives Matter riots.
Nancy Pelosi.
We do have the quote in here.
Let me see. You got it here somewhere. Well, let's see. Well, we know it's something along the lines of, I don't understand why there haven't been more uprisings. Maybe there will be.
Also, we got another good one. Chris Cuomo, brother of the governor of New York.
Chris Cuomo, of course. Here's a direct quote. You can look this up. Fact check it all you want. Chris Cuomo said, "Who says protests have to be peaceful?" I find issue with that because the moment there's any violence, that is no longer a protest.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing with the Capitol, yes. I absolutely agree. I think anybody who has a drip of common sense will say that, yes, what happened at the Capitol, while it was a great showmanship of patriotism, breaking into the Capitol and damaging, yes, I don't think any of us truly wanted that. Here's another quote by Kamala Harris. "Protesters should not let up." And of course, we'll finish off the quotes with a quote by Donald Trump. "Go home with love and in peace. Remember this day forever."
It sounds like he's a peaceful one to me.
It doesn't sound like he's condoning violence in any way, shape, or form.
No. Multiple times he's condemned all the violence. And it's also now coming out that we had our stats previously, but there's been investigations, this is not bias or anything, that a lot of left-wing and, Antifa, I guess, members seem to have incite a lot of this violence, and it's starting to come out now, but I don't know. I'm sure there were some Trump supporters in there, there's a few bad ones for
There's going to be a few bad eggs on each side, exactly. I think is what we can all agree on. Next thing I want to bring up is just the astonishing level of hypocrisy that we've gotten from some of these high-profile Democrats. If you remember when Brett Kavanaugh was confirmed, 164 people were arrested for banging on the doors of the Supreme Court in protest of this. And that it seems that a lot of news outlets just ignore the fact that this happened, and it was not very long ago.
No.
As well as we have an article here, over 200 people were outside Nancy Pelosi's office demanding a climate plan. 50 people were arrested in that case. But, and again, this is in quotations, Pelosi said she would like to allow them to continue to organize and participate in our democracy. The police were called, but she was very open about the idea of people doing this, assembling for what they believe in.
No, yeah, not to.
And-
I also have to correct you that one. Now, they weren't outside her office. They stormed her office.
Oh,
they
yeah.
were stormed into.
Yeah, they stormed
weren't more
into
than
the
outside,
office.
yeah.
That I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So, where's the coverage of this? Where is the outrage when it comes like they've done all this stuff too? But of course, the instant that anybody on Trump's side does it, they're instantly demonized, and the media has created this very poor image of people. I think of Republicans in general labeling us as all sorts of things because that's what some people have made out Trump to be, and it's just because you support the president doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't make you anything like the president if you don't like certain things about him. And of course, the best example of hypocrisy. Just you guys think to yourselves, write in the comments before you find out, who you think wrote this? Our election was hijacked, there was no question, Congress has a duty to hashtag protect our democracy and hashtag follow the facts. We've been hearing a lot about that, and Donald Trump has been slandered every which way by the media for claiming that the election was stolen and hijacked. And whatever you believe, you've definitely heard about it. This was a tweet by Nancy Pelosi after Trump's victory in 2016.
Yeah, and Trump makes these claims with evidence and
And of
cases
course,
brought to court.
nobody questions Nancy Pelosi.
No.
But
Yeah, well, of
as
course,
soon as Trump says like, "Oh, you're wrong," blah blah
Yeah.
blah, and just shut him down, and you know what? They censored his Twitter. They took down his Twitter. Look at Parler now; that's taken down.
Yeah.
Things have gotten so out of hand with the
crazy.
censorship of what we believe is going on. But of course, when they do it, there's nothing wrong with that. Of
Right,
course,
yeah. No, the censorship is really it's pretty sad. I mean, it's very un-American. You can't just censor this side because you don't agree with that you agree with. That's crazy. You know?
When communist China is allowed to freely tweet on Twitter whatever they want, and the president of the United States isn't,
Yeah.
that's a problem. And people don't seem to think it is. Oh, he's spreading lies and whatever.
Inciting
Look, I can
violence.
go on Twitter and spread as many lies and bullshit as I want because I have the right to. It's freedom of speech. But it's just I think it's
It
unbelievable.
is unbelievable. They took him down because he incites violence, which wasn't true. Always saw these tweets and everything about go home and be peaceful and all
Go
this.
home, be peaceful. I'll pull it up again.
There's also Trump Jr. also tweeted
Go
something
home
interesting.
with love and in peace. Remember this day forever.
Right, yeah. And Trump Jr. also said that it's crazy that, like, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was like something to do with that this group can say this about whatever, and they're loud on Twitter, but the President of the United States is. We can probably find that tweet too. The President of
Exactly.
the United States is kicked off and banned and censored. It's unreal.
Also, you may remember the insane number of times that Hillary Clinton claims that the election was stolen from her. Everybody really sided with her. I think, there was definitely not as much backlash as there was for Trump saying the same thing.
For his whole 4 years of presidency, that's all we heard was Russia collusion and the election was hacked from
It's
Hillary should have won.
a ghost of a ghost. They never found anything.
No.
It has been... I honestly think Trump has been the victim of the world's worst smear campaign in history.
Alright, next we're going to discuss whether Trump really did incite violence or was it just another spin by the media. And you guys can let us know what you think. If you think he incited violence, tell us, and please show us where you found it because I'm failing to. And if you don't, well, I guess just say no. Anyway.
Smooth.
Anyway, there was a small percent of, I would say hundreds of thousands of people who were there engaged in violence. 99% of people, of Trump supporters, are not violent at all. They don't cause any sort of violence. How many Trump rallies have you seen over the 4 years where it's been perfectly fine?
How many non-violent Trump rallies have we seen? And how many violent Black Lives Matter and Antifa protests have we seen?
Right, we saw a video, we have the video of...
We do.
Yeah, we did. We also have a video of the Trump rally where people are singing the national anthem, a ton of those videos.
These are patriotic
Chanting
people.
patriot. Yeah, exactly. People who love their country.
So yeah, if you guys believe that Trump did incite violence and you have a source to show for it, we would love to see it. Post it in the comments below. We encourage everybody to take a look at any sources. We're not trying to steer you one way or the other, like we said. But I beg you, take a look at the transcript of Trump's hour-long speech before the siege of the Capitol, and then form your opinion because there's a lot of clips from that video that have been taken out of context. And we would show some footage of it here, but unfortunately, if we take a look at the YouTube video, it has been taken down. A speech by the President of the United States has been removed for violating YouTube's community guidelines.
Well, I don't know what these guidelines are, but that's pretty
Are you
ridiculous.
kidding me?
That's just,
This is insane.
Yep.
I mean, what about the videos of like beheadings that are still on YouTube?
Say, by ISIS, beheadings and all this crazy stuff. That's like nobody
It
should be
is
seeing.
absolutely
That's completely funny.
mind-boggling.
Yeah. It's the joke. It is mind-boggling. It's crazy. So anyway, that's what we were saying, that there was a small percent of hundreds of thousands of people that engaged in violence. I mean, even Trump himself, not to get off topic again, even he said that a true supporter of his is not engaged in any sort of violence like that. It's on the White House YouTube channel, I believe. But yeah, also
And absolutely true. Go look it up. It's there. You can hear Trump say this in person.
right, yeah. And also, but the funny thing is about this now, the media no longer wants to use these terms as mostly peaceful, even though it was mostly peaceful, 100%. That only applies to Antifa and Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, but I mean, mostly peaceful is only if it's fiery.
Yeah, it's only if it's fiery, exactly. That's when it's mostly peaceful. They're also saying that Trump caused this by refusing to accept the results of the election, which is total bullshit because Hillary and her supporters and people on the left have been claiming for the last 40 years that the election was stolen from her, and Trump has been illegitimate, and there's Russia collusion, and all sorts of this nonsense.
And also, where is the wrongdoing in using every legal process that you, as the president, are entitled to after the election?
You are a fair election.
He used everything that he's doing. The lawsuits he has the legal right to do, but yet people say that this is a horrible thing. If you may remember, some of you might not. I don't remember, but I found out later on. The election of, I believe, 2004. The media called the wrong winner before Congress actually certified the vote. And so everybody thought that...
yeah, it was 2000.
I can't remember
Bush
exactly.
and Gore. They had to call the one state, and they flipped over, and then they
Exactly.
changed
So the fact that the media called the election before it was even certified, that should say a bit about how the media controls the people.
Mm-hmm.
The media controls the people, and that goes a long way. And unfortunately, it is a big danger to this country, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. So finally, who's really responsible for what happened at the Capitol? For those who say President Trump, I believe, which is completely false. Here we have a direct quote from his speech. Here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Again, that not inciting violence in any way. And here's another. We'll be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make our voices heard, or make your voices heard. So, how is any violence on Trump if this is the thing that he said? If you are not directly inciting violence, you didn't incite violence at all. If you didn't say we're gonna give we're gonna raise hell for this. That's not what he said.
No.
Peacefully and patriotically make our voices heard. That is what is so great about America.
Yeah, you have the right to do so.
You have the right to do so, exactly.
Yeah.
And if I may bring up, you guys, some of you may remember how Barack Obama has constantly trashed the police force for being systemically racist. And of course, this led to a crazy guy who very much hated Trump shooting 6 police officers because he believed that they were systemically racist. Does that make Barack Obama responsible for the shooting of these 6 police officers because of what he said? Or is it this crazy guy's fault because that's how he interpreted this?
Well, according to the media's logic and the way they've been treating President Trump, I guess it is his fault. Barack Obama's fault. This guy shot these 6 police officers because
if we go by the logic that the media has been using, it is absolutely Barack Obama's fault. You may remember Bernie Sanders making accusations that Republican members of Congress were trying to kill our seniors with a lack of health care. Then all of a sudden, this crazy anti-Trump supporter, Bernie supporter, he goes and he shoots several members of Congress, one of which almost died. Does that make Bernie Sanders responsible for what happened to those members of Congress?
No, absolutely not. He also posted this guy on his Facebook. Trump is a traitor. Trump is a destroyer of democracy. It's time to destroy Trump and destroy Trump and company. And he also posted another one that Republicans are Taliban of the USA. If that's allowed on the internet, then and Facebook and Twitter and whatnot, then the President of the United States, who has nothing wrong Said nothing wrong, didn't say any violence.
This
Definitely on it.
literal deranged killer was saying these on his social media before he committed this heinous crime
Yeah.
and died in a shootout with police.
Mm-hmm.
This is just it blows my mind again. But there's no blame put on these people, and rightfully so. Because that's just common sense that they didn't they said what they said, and they may be responsible for raising the temperature of the situation, same as with Trump. He may have raised the situation, but he is in no way responsible for any violence that took place.
No.
It is absolutely absurd. So that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, this is a new thing to us, and we're still getting acquainted with exactly how to do this. But
Yeah, so I mean, just thanks again for watching us. Please drop a like and a comment below, and any suggestions of what we could have done. We tried our best to keep a bias out of it, like we said. We're just giving facts. So yeah.
Our main goal is, as two young first-time voters and the future of this nation, we think it's very important for our voices to be heard. And unfortunately, a lot of the young voter voices that are being heard are very dangerous to the future of this nation, in my opinion.
Right.
So that's all we have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please feel free to leave us any suggestions, comments, criticisms. If you want to call us a bunch of racist, white, trash motherfuckers, that is absolutely your right to do so. And we're not going to be doing any censorship in our comment section. This is a place for free speech, which clearly we are in support of.
We're also going to have a backdrop coming. The Beatles will not be here to stay. If any of you are Beatles fans, I'm sorry to say that. But yeah, again, like he just said, thanks for watching, and drop a like and comment and suggestions. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video.
Hope to see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.